Hey, Mikey, I've got a joke for you that's sure to make you laugh like a hyena huffing nitrous oxide. You've heard of Al Pacino, the legendary actor, I'm sure. He's one of my favorites. All of the Godfather movies, Serpico, Bobby Deerfield, which, if you've never seen it, you really should. It was an incredible, lesser-known film. There was Scarface, Dog Day Afternoon, and so many others. But I'll bet you've never heard of his lesser-known brother, Cap, who invented an amazingly delicious Italian coffee. Yeah, Cap Pacino. He's like the less cool but just as delicious version of Al. What do you think?
I think that's fun. I feel like Al is like a latte, but like an alte.
That's good.
See, I got this.
You got this.
I'll come back with jokes.
Okay. But I've got another one for you. So maybe this isn't exactly relevant to our topic today, but I couldn't resist sharing it. The CIA, FBI, and LAPD are all competing to prove they're the best at catching criminals. The president challenges them by releasing a rabbit in the forest and tells them that whoever catches the rabbit will be declared the best agency. The CIA takes a strategic approach, placing undercover agents throughout the forest and interrogating every living thing they come across. They eventually conclude that rabbits do not exist. The FBI, on the other hand, decides to take drastic measures and burns down the entire forest after 2 weeks of no leads, including the poor rabbit. And then there's the LAPD, who simply walks out of the forest dragging a bruised and battered bear that yells, "I give up, I'm a rabbit, I'm a rabbit."
Oh, man.
Welcome, 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 everybody. Greetings and salutations from the infamous Mr. Robin's Hood podcast, broadcasting live, well, digitally anyway, from glorious Studio B here at the compound, nestled on a ridge near the quiet town of Fargo, Oklahoma. And with me, as always, is my partner in crime, my collaborative companion, my confidant, the one and only Mikkel Robinson, also known as Mikey on the mic. Go ahead, Mikey. Say hello to our somewhat vast audience before they start falling asleep from my never-ending introduction.
Hello. And please wake up. We have some riveting things that we'll be talking about today.
Yeah, they have no idea. We're also joined today by Mikey's husband, Brett Robinson, and the wife, Mary Ann Dundon, also known as the stock market maven. But that'll come later. Cousin Fred is at the controls today, along with his latest flame, Magdalene, known throughout the vehicle repossession universe as Repo Babe. So, Mikey, I have a confession to make before we get started.
Oh, goodness.
I have to confess that I used a cheap trick to get people to listen to this by publicly announcing that our guest on today's episode was a caterer to the stars in Hollywood. I said that we're calling this episode Dark Confessions of a Hollywood Caterer.
Dun, dun, dun.
Dum, dum, dum. I don't think I have a soundtrack for that one. Ah, well.
I feel like you should let me record the sounds.
Okay. You're on.
I'm proposing that. Carry on.
In which we would get said interviewee to spill her secrets of wild Hollywood soirees, barbecued cocktail wieners, which I got a whole inside joke about that.
I just had a whole visual about that.
Cold pizza and flat beer. So the confession is that there isn't any of that in this episode, actually, though I think I will keep the title as Dark Confessions of a Hollywood Caterer. Just because
I hope people, when they read it like that.
Just because I think it's funny as hell. When I posted that on social media yesterday, I immediately heard from our guest today, who informed me that she is not a caterer and that I must have her mistaken for someone else. That was followed by another text in which she informed me that 1, we cannot mention her company's name, and 2, that she is not a caterer but does corporate events planning. And 3, she wanted to know if I'm going to make it known that she's my daughter, Veronica. And 4, was she allowed to cuss? I kind of think that 3 and 4 have a lot to do with one another.
At least she asked. At least she asked.
Well, there is that. This is the first of our periodic series that we're calling Working 2024, in which we will occasionally have folks on to talk about what they do and what they love or hate about their jobs.
Okay.
So we are embarking on our first in a periodic series of podcasts that we're titling Working 2024. And our first victim for this is Veronica Howeiler. And if that name sounds familiar, yes, she's the daughter. And I'll give you just a few facts about Veronica, just to familiarize yourself. And she really loves this one. Veronica is named for a dog that was named for the Elvis Costello tune, Veronica. So, yeah. So there it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are there any more facts?
Well, let's see. I'm sure there are.
No. If they weren't planned, let's not go there.
Okay. All right. So,
Cool.
Well, for those of you who may be familiar with Cosmic City Blog, I have early on. I had a whole series that I referred to Veronica as the daughter. And at the time, she was close to graduating from George Mason University in Virginia. And I had her driving truckloads of green beans to Utah. And there's a whole shtick about that. It comes from an old Frank Zappa song. As the series moved along, Veronica was actually transporting disgruntled liberals up to Utah.
And only feeding them green beans.
And only feeding them canned green beans on the way. That's right. Oh, Veronica, I need to introduce you around the table.
Okay.
I've got Mikkel Robinson, also known as Mikey. She's my
How's it going?
Good.
She's my partner on these podcasts. Her husband, Brett Robinson, is here. And we have... Huh?
I said cool.
Okay. And I've also got Rachel Van Horn.
Hello.
You met her. I don't know if you remember.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. I remember.
Okay,
Hi,
good.
Veronica.
How are you?
I'm good.
Good.
Okay. Oh, and of course, your evil stepmother is here.
Hi, Marianne. How's it going?
All right. Okay. So we are hitting you up as our first go on this sort of periodic series, and as and I have to be really honest with you, I haven't got a clue what the hell it is you do exactly. I know you were.
Don't worry.
You were doing catering for a while. You're currently an events planner. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. And the catering thing kind of blew up with COVID. And I'm sure it was just about wrecked that particular industry out there in Los Angeles because they were really cranking down in the LA area because of COVID, right? And have you guys come out of that? Are things starting to pick up for you?
Yeah, so it's really interesting because when I basically the catering company was my first job that I ever, I got the job prior to moving out to LA, moved here, and I didn't have a ton of experience with the catering side of events.
Right.
So I just kind of dove in, and it felt like as soon as I started to kind of get comfortable at the catering company and kind of, understanding how everything works, and I was new to sales. Um, I went home to Virginia for like a week, and my boss at the time was like, "Hey, I don't think you should go." And of course, me being me, I was like, "Yeah, okay, whatever. See
Yeah,
ya."
say it ain't so.
So yeah, so I was like, "But you're just being dramatic. COVID is not a thing." So I went home, and then it was actually the evening I was supposed to be flying back to California.
Uh-huh.
I got a message from management saying that they needed me to be on a company-wide call the next day. So I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, okay. So I fly home, and I will never forget this moment. I was standing out back of my new apartment building. I had just moved into this apartment. I was living there for about a week, and I had, recently gone through a breakup where I was dating someone for like 7 years. So,
Yeah.
as you can imagine, I was live, laugh, loving. Um, so I'm standing by the dumpster, and I get a call saying that I was being laid off.
Uh-huh.
And that was that. Good luck. See you soon. Uh, and then, yeah. So I was unemployed for probably, I'd say maybe 2 months. And then I finally got a call from the owner of the company, and she said, "Hey, do you want your job back?" And I was, of course, desperate because unemployment was freaking crazy. And like you said, Los Angeles was really, really, really taking COVID seriously. So
Yeah.
it was a ghost town. Um, so she said, "But you're not going to be doing the things that you were doing. I just want you to know that, because obviously events don't exist right now. There's no socialization or anything like that." And so I said, "I don't care. Put me in, coach. I just need money. I need a job."
Right.
So I went back, and uh, it was really interesting. We ended up, and this is, I swear, the only reason why the company stayed afloat was they ended up having this basically program that fed elderly people. So I would get to the kitchen at about 5 a.m. or 6 a.m., pack all of these individual boxes with food.
Mm-hmm.
And then that would take like 2 hours. And then I'd get in a van and go ride around Los Angeles on my delivery route for like maybe 4 to 5 hours.
Uh-huh.
While I was driving around delivering the food to the elderly people, I was also getting calls for random like events that people were trying to do, like smaller things. So I was like doing sales on the road, trying to deliver meals to elderly people and not get them sick.
Yeah. Right.
So I say that because it's been so interesting, because so many people in this industry have really had to get their hands dirty and do things that might not be as glamorous as one would think you're doing as an event planner. So it's kind of been interesting because nothing is the same anymore. All of the things that we were familiar with, like the venues and vendors in the area, there's so much turnover,
Mm-hmm.
and there's so many people that think the grass is greener on the other side, and they
Yeah.
go
Right.
elsewhere. And it's just hard for
Uh-huh.
us as an industry to kind of maintain that tight knit community that we usually have, because people are so unfamiliar.
I see.
Yeah.
So, but now you're working as an events planner for a company,
Yes.
and
Yeah. So, mhm.
uh-huh, and so you're really out from under. You're, as I understand it, you're more in a supervisory sort of role now. You
Yeah.
supervise a lot of people.
Yes. So my current company was actually a client of mine at the catering
Oh,
company.
I see. Okay.
And this company that I'm at now, they really took off during COVID and they were like, okay, how can we pivot and, stay afloat because a lot of businesses were closing. And virtual events became a huge thing. So they had reached out to me while I was at the catering company and they're like, hey, can you put together a box of snacks for a virtual game night? And I'm like, I mean, yeah, I guess.
Uh-huh.
So I became like a gift box person. Um, but yeah, so I had taken a small break because I just was burnt out. And then this company reached out to me and asked if I wanted a job when things started coming back to life. So
Mhm.
I've been here about, I'd say 2.5 years now. I started as a corporate events manager, and then I got promoted to be a territory manager where I just managed people in California, basically.
Okay.
And then
So
last year,
it's
yeah,
statewide for you.
well, so last year I ended up hitting $1 million in sales. I was at like a little over 250% to target for just myself.
Holy cow.
So yeah, so I got promoted to be the events director. So now I manage 5 corporate event managers.
Okay.
They're in San Francisco, Los Angeles, Dallas, and Washington, D.C. And then I manage an events coordinator that's based in LA and 2 events assistants.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'm really just relaxing over here. It's.
Yeah, I was just sitting here thinking, like, what does that mean to, I mean, how do you manage these people? Just checking in with them every day, making sure that they're doing what they're supposed to. I'm curious a little bit more about that. Like, what, how,
Yeah, so a lot of it is, I like to think of it kind of as like a advisory role, kind of, because it's a lot of like, I'm not super hands-on to where I'm planning the people's events that are on my team. It's more like I'm helping them kind of make decisions
okay.
that will better the company, such as, they'll come to me and say, hey, the client wants to do X, Y, and Z, or they want to change this on their contract, or it's we're very sales heavy too, in addition to events. So it's a lot of like, here's how you can get this across the finish line and close the deal. And then we kind of carry it throughout the planning process. So it's really just like a management position and kind of advising on
Hmm.
the best ways to move forward.
And what sort of events or do you guys do? I mean, is it everything across the board from like weddings to
Oh, no, 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 no.
quinceañeras or
No, no. So
okay.
I have done social events in the past,
Uh-huh.
but our company is strictly corporate. So
Okay.
no,
Oh,
if
I
you,
see.
if,
Okay.
yeah, if you want your wedding or bar mitzvah or bat mitzvah planned, we're not your people. But yeah, we do strictly corporate, but it's a lot of like, uh, seasonal events, large conferences, whether that's like in the specific area or in like Mexico or something like that. And
Hmm.
then with LA being our home base, we of course get the fun ones where it's, like a lot of like award show after parties, TV
Okay.
type geared, those sort of events. Yeah.
Okay. Cool. And who is the most famous person you've encountered at one of these?
Oh man. Um, at events, it's tough because I feel like, I mean, in general, with the work that I've done, I've come across quite a few people. Like, for instance, I used to I guess I skated over this, but I briefly worked at a restaurant in between my
Oh, right.
two
Right.
jobs.
Right.
Yeah, and I came across a lot of celebrities at that restaurant.
Mhm.
Some are, let's see, Adele was a really big one, which was so freaking cool. I'd say she's like obviously a big time celebrity.
Yeah. Right.
Um, Bill Murray,
Oh, you're
uh,
kidding me.
yeah, that was really cool.
Did he do
I think
anything? Did he do anything like, because he's big into practical jokes, I know.
yeah, no, from what I remember, he was kind of cranky and then he like left early, which a lot of times that happens in these settings
I see.
because obviously they're sitting out in an open floor and I think they get frustrated and they're like, okay, I gotta go. But I think I told you I served Mike Diamond from the
Right.
Beastie
Right.
Boys. That was really
Right.
cool. I've served the creator of The Sopranos.
Oh,
Um,
David.
I can't remember his name.
Yeah, I can't pull it out of my
He
ass right
scared the
now.
shit out of me, but
Really?
he was, yeah, he's really nice, but he's just intimidating. Um,
Botchko? Is that who you're?
Is it?
Botchko?
I can't I
It
can't
could be.
remember his
It could
name.
be. We're Googling right now.
Okay, okay. So yeah, things like that, and I've done like events wise, it's a lot. I'd say it's a lot of like athletes and
Yeah.
Chase.
TV characters, things like that.
David Chase.
David Chase. That's it.
Yes, that sounds right. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, you had mentioned that you recently attended a conference about women in leadership roles. And,
Yes. I love this topic.
oh, okay. So, why don't you, if you want to just talk a little bit about that, that'd be great.
Yeah. So, it's been really interesting because I feel like from the time that I was really young, I really got into the corporate world very quickly from a super young age. So
Yeah.
not only was it really hard to be taken seriously with my age, because I would say I was probably like a 40-year-old living in an 18-year-old's body when I was going into the corporate world.
Trust me,
Um,
she was like that when she was 3 years old. So,
Yeah, it's terrifying, super terrifying. So it's like that. And then on top of that, being a woman, it's really hard, to be taken seriously because I feel like, anywhere I went, all the old white men with power never wanted to give me a chance because I was a woman, but more specifically, it's, you're not smart enough or you're too sassy or uh, one interesting thing that has always stuck with me, and I will never forget this. I was working for a um, mortgage company, and I went into my boss's office and I told him that I really wanted to know what it would take for me to get promoted to the next level because I was ready to kind of make that jump. And he proceeds to tell me that he says, well, I think you need to get to know the other loan officers more and have a better relationship with them. And I'm looking at him like, okay, elaborate, give me examples. And he says, well, like such and such just got a boob job and she flashed some of the loan officers her boob job, stuff like that.
oh, I
And
wish I had known that at the time.
yeah, my mouth dropped and
Yeah.
I'm just like, okay. So I politely exited that company pretty quickly. But
Yeah.
that's just an example of things where women are rarely taken seriously. And I think unfortunately, we still kind of deal with that. Like I read something recently where only 10% of the Fortune 500 companies are led by women. That's crazy
Hmm.
because, women are smart as hell. And I just don't think it makes any sense that we still um, face these problems.
Right.
It's just crazy. And I feel like the way I was raised, like my mom had a pretty high up position in the Navy, and
Hmm.
you were successful in the Navy and all of
Hmm.
your other sketchy jobs you had over the years. So I
We
feel
don't
like,
talk about those, Veronica.
sorry. Oh, sorry. Yeah, when I listened to the first episode, I was like, okay, he really glossed over a lot there. Should we rewind here? Um, but yeah, I feel like that work ethic was always instilled in me, and then I eventually learned that, I need to be independent, and I learned over the years that, especially financially independent, it's like when everything crumbles, who's going to save you?
Right.
So I think that's really pushed me
Hmm.
to where I am. And at our current company, we really push people to empower themselves, be bold, speak up respectfully, of course. And we really like to promote people that are high achievers within. So,
Right.
yeah, I'd say it's just such a problem. And there's a quote that at the conference you're referring to, they put it really big on the screen, and
Uh,
it said, "How do I try to get myself fired a little bit every day?" And that really stuck with me because I feel like I'm constantly, speaking up and being bold and voicing what I want. And I think that's how I've gotten to where I am.
I see. So the quote, I guess, is the idea is there is to push that line as much as you can
Yes.
to a certain point. And no, I appreciate that, and it's I got to tell you, it's just like so fucking amazing for me to sit here and listen to you and think, okay, this isn't Veronica. I dialed the wrong number or something.
Yeah, no, it's me. I've grown up. Yeah.
Well, good. We're all very happy about that. Now, you were always a good kid, but I can remember from 3 years old, you were just so totally independent. And it was like I just wanted to tie a freaking leash around your neck and pull you back.
Well, I think I did have a leash at one point, but
Well, wait a minute. Okay, yeah. I have to tell this story. The other thing about Veronica is she has this fabulous sense of humor. And she was, I don't know, 4, maybe 5. And for anybody that's ever been to Washington, D.C., there is a island in the middle of the Potomac River called Roosevelt Island. And you access Roosevelt Island from the Virginia side. And there's like an arch bridge that everybody walks across. You have to park in Virginia and walk across the bridge. And as Veronica would often do, we were walking across the bridge and she ran ahead of me. And I wasn't too worried because, they had rails and stuff on the side. So it wasn't like she was going to fall in or anything. So I crest the top of this arch on the bridge, and I see a group of people standing, maybe 20, 30 yards ahead of me. And I'm like, what the hell's going on? And I get up closer, and the crowd kind of parts, and there's Veronica. Now, there's a drain grate going, across this bridge.
Mhm.
And she has she's crouched down, she stuck her finger inside one of the holes in this grate. And she's like making like she's trying to pull it out. And she just keeps saying, it's stuck, it's stuck, it's stuck. And these people are just looking horrified. And I'm horrified because I'm not so much concerned about her. I'm more worried about what her mother is going to do with me when, I get her back home.
And it was like, I'm sorry, we didn't come back with her finger. Everything else is good, but we had to leave the finger.
Her finger is it's in the district by now. So but as soon as I came towards her, And I'm like, oh my God, what the hell did you do? She pulls her finger out, laughs, and then runs on across the bridge. So she was just messing with me, and she did a lot of that over the years.
I did love to mess with you. It was a lot of fun. I always tell this story of when I was at the baseball game with you, and I was sitting next to you, and I'm just like enjoying, and then all of a sudden you look over and you're like, oh shit, where did she go? And you look over and my fingertips, all you can see are my fingertips, and I'm swinging back and forth off the railing of the side of the.
This was in Candlestick Park in San Francisco. And we were up on the upper tiers. And she is, we stood up for the national anthem, and I'm not looking around. And I look down, and there she is swinging her little body out into space. I was like, grabbed hold of her, jerked her back up. So,
Yeah.
Well,
let's hope my mom doesn't listen to this, because
yeah.
the truth comes out.
Is that really what happened?
Yeah.
Get in trouble after the fact.
You know, that you sound a lot like myself. I was pretty like that when I was a kid. And I read, and I don't know the actual percentage, I don't remember it, but strong-willed kids like that are just fearless and independent, usually come out to be the most successful individuals in life. They're the ones running companies, and they're, leading the pack. And so it's funny to hear that progression, like you can just point it out as a kid, like that one's going places if they don't end up in jail,
Or
exactly. Literally. Yeah.
Because you have to take risks to get there, just like you're saying, being bold and taking the risk to say the things. Because if you don't, it could go either way. It could work in your favor, to go against you. But if not, then you can't make that step, maybe, So.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I always tell people, I'm not saying go out there and be an asshole. I'm saying go out there, and there's respective, there's ways to go about it to speak up and get what you want without being a jerk. And you also have to understand that there's hard work that goes into that. I'm not going to sit here and say, yeah, I got where I am today because I just spoke up and I sat back and didn't do shit. Like, no, I've worked my ass off. I've worn many hats. I've done all the things, and you have to prove yourself in order to get there. It's not, it can't just be placed in your lap, especially for women. And I'll go ahead and say, I think men get a lot of stuff in the corporate world for all of everyone else's hard work that goes behind it. I hate to say it.
Well, men actually open the door for each other. That is the background. Men will open the door for each other, and unfortunately, women have a tendency to not open the door for each other. We work so hard in a male-dominated field that we have what I call the gazelle, the wounded gazelle theory, where we're afraid to get next to any other women and look like we might be supporting them, because we work so hard and we're afraid that men will think we're going to maybe accidentally help that woman.
Yeah, that's very true, and it's so competitive. Yeah, of course, the female cattiness comes into play.
Absolutely.
Yeah. That's a good point.
Well, and men, can be aggressive physically, but women have a tendency to kind of try to harm each other in other ways.
Right. Yeah.
Sneaky,
verbal abuse,
passive aggressive
shit.
Yeah. So the moral of the story is men smell bad, and anyways. I'm kidding.
Well, I told, in fact, I just mentioned to Rachel today that I told you a long time ago. You had just broken up with one of your boyfriends when you were about 12 years old, and you were just miserable. And I don't know if you and I went to dinner, and I don't know if you remember what I told you, but I said, the one thing you need to remember, Veronica, as you go through life, I said, there are going to be guys, there'll be dozens of them who break your heart, and you're going to break a lot of hearts, and I can tell you that. But I said, the thing you need to remember, the one thing you need to keep in your mind is that men are pigs.
Yeah. And you were right.
See? Listen to your father.
Yeah. Yeah. No, yeah. I mean, you know.
But they're predictable.
They're
yeah.
predictable pigs.
Yeah. 100%.
That's funny.
Okay, enough with the male bashing.
I know. I was like, I mean, there's a place for it, yeah. But there's some good ones out there, darn it. There really are.
There are.
There's two of them in this room.
Yeah.
You know, at least
Yeah.
you had sketchy jobs and you're not a sketchy human like my dad is.
I just,
And I'll make sure he listens to this.
well, isn't that
Yeah.
a Taylor Swift song? Shake It Off.
Yeah, right.
Yep.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, you know what they say about the stereotypes. I say stereotypes are true because majority that is, but we have to remember that there is a small piece that doesn't fit into that, you know.
Right.
100%.
So
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they came from something.
yeah, like well, yeah, because most people are like that, but to just take that as is, it's not fair completely, you know. But at
No,
the same
definitely
time,
not. A majority of them are terrible, but yeah, you're right.
Yes.
There are some good ones right there.
there is a big old chunk of them that are.
I used to say men are great. They're good on a grill with some salt.
There you go.
Yeah, true.
All right. Well, Veronica, thank you very much for joining us and kind of giving us a rundown. Now, again, I have to claim stupidity, and it's not much of a stretch for me to do so. But what was your college degree in?
Not related to this at all.
Okay.
It was community health.
Oh, right.
Yeah, and I had a concentration in pre-health professions because I thought I wanted to be a physical therapist,
Okay.
and then my minor was events management and
Okay, I knew that was in there
kinesiology.
somewhere. Yeah. Okay. And
Yeah.
do you have any advice for anyone that may be interested in doing, you know, like corporate events planning or you know, anything that's along those lines?
Yeah. I would say, well, first, I don't think you can really succeed in this industry if it's not your passion, because this industry and this job entails so much like work and constant change and rolling with the punches. I think a lot of people think, oh, I want to be an event planner. It's all rainbows and butterflies. And it's really not all the time. It can get very stressful. A lot falls on you. You're thinking a lot on your feet. But I would say, you know, you really, like, if you're super young, I would say definitely do those internships and things. But, you know, I started an internships and it was like the one person I worked for, she would ask me to go get her oil changed and whatever. And I'm like, this is not, it's not helping your growth. So
Right.
pick the right internships and find the right companies that are actually wanting to help you learn. Because those internships where you're just someone's sorry bitch is not going to help you in the long run.
In the Navy, we called those butt boys.
Yeah. Like, it doesn't do anyone any good. Maybe it gets the girl her oil changed, but other than that, it's not teaching you a whole lot.
Right. Sure.
But I'd say one thing that I always tell people to do is really do everything and don't be afraid to get your hands dirty. I've done so many different things in the events industry. I've done catering, I've done conference services, I've done weddings, I've done, you know, even restaurants. Like, you should do all of those things and don't think that a job is beneath you or whatever. Like, you should be, I guess like a good example is like you should be washing the dishes in the back.
Uh-huh.
Like you should be doing those things and learning,
Uh-huh.
because it really helps you in the end because you understand all the different sides of events.
Oh, that's really good.
That is good. Can I add something to that? Because it just reminded
Please.
me. So, Veronica, I actually worked in the restaurant industry. My husband's parents actually have a bakery, and I still help them with catering. So I kind of know what you're talking about. And then I ran the Elks, and we had a banquet room, and I had to work with vendors, and I had to rent it. So I kind of have little pieces of similarities to understand kind of what you do. But when I started working for this guy when I was 14 at a restaurant, he told me, I'm going to start you in the kitchen because you need to learn that piece, washing the dishes, prepping the food, doing all that. He's like, before you go to the floor. Because once you go to the floor, if you're out there waiting on somebody and they're like, what's on this sandwich? You're already going to know what's on the sandwich because you've been making it for the last 6 months for them, So he had you do every single piece. And when you were talking about that, it reminded me of him. And this guy has run this business for like 50 years. And he's like the epitome of people that are passionate about what they do. Because you have to be to do what he does. I mean, he's there all hours of the day, and he had sacrificed so much for that place, and people love it.
It's so true.
I mean, he made.
And you don't.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, like, you don't know, like, you don't know when you'll be put in a situation where that person that knows how to do that one thing might not be around. So what are you gonna do?
Right.
Just sit there and do nothing? No.
Uh-huh. Well, we're going to wrap this up. And again, Veronica, I sure appreciate you taking the time to come on. This has been an enlightening conversation for me, and sure appreciate it. And we'll be talking to you soon.
Yeah, awesome. Thanks for having me. Always happy to talk about the industry and stuff. It's,
Yeah.
it's my passion. So I love talking about it.
And I have to, I'll also say that I appreciate you coming on. We've got two other very successful women around us here. Three, sorry. Mary Ann's about to slug me.
He kind of deserved that.
She just gave me the finger. Okay, so we got three very successful women sitting around here. But I sure appreciate you coming on with us, and we're going to close this thing out. And love you. And
love you too.
Oh, good. And for God's sake, come visit, will you? Come visit your poor relatives in Oklahoma.
Yeah, I want to meet you too. I got to hear a lot about you. And thanks for taking time for us today.
Yeah, I do need to break free from LA every once in a while. It's a little crazy around here sometimes. So,
What part of LA are you in?
I'm in East LA.
So my daughter lives in Sherman Oaks. How close are you?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I'd say that's maybe like on a good day, maybe 45 minutes for me, probably.
Okay. So you are, I thought you might be a little farther away. Next time I go, I'll go find you and take a picture.
Yeah, you should.
She has lived all over Los Angeles. Let's see. You started off in Long Beach, I think.
Yeah.
She wound up in the Silver Hills area.
Silver Lake. Yeah.
Silver Lake. Sorry.
Hills, yeah.
Right. Echo Park, which was my favorite when you were living there, because that came straight out of a Warren Zevon tune. And then you were back up in L.A. somewhere, living in that house. It was kind of up a hill there. And,
yeah, that was Silver Lake. Yeah.
Oh, okay. And now you're in East L.A. surrounded by razor wire. That's great.
Yeah, I was going to tell you today, I actually, because I remember you brought up my car battery getting stolen.
Stolen. She
Yeah,
was
that
there
was
for
fun.
2 days and her car battery got stolen.
Yeah, right. It got clipped right outside of my car. But today I went to Target and
Uh-huh.
I needed to buy a hammer,
Uh-huh.
and everything in Target is locked up, even the laundry detergent. So I'm like standing there, I press the button for assistance. Of course, no one comes up. And so I walk up to someone, I'm like, hey, I need to get something out of the case. So they come over and they're like, what do you want? I said, the hammer right there. And she goes, okay, you can pick this up at the front. And I looked at her and I'm like, what? What do you mean? And she's like, yeah, we don't allow customers to carry around the tools.
Wow.
And I go, and why not? And she says, oh, because there was a stabbing in Target a
Holy
few
cow.
months ago with some of the tools, so you have to pick it up from customer service.
All right.
I'm like, okay, got it. I just walk away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, we really have to wrap this up because I've got another interview to do.
Yep.
So thanks for joining us, and
Of course.
please
Thanks for
come
having me.
see us.
I will.
All right.
Love you.
All right. Talk soon.
All right. Love you. Bye.
Thank you. Love you too. Bye.
Okay, Mikey, so I think you'll agree that went well for our first outing in this series.
I agree, and actually, that was the first time I've unofficially met your daughter.
Mhm.
We weren't in the same room, I guess, so to speak, but first time I've talked to her, and it was very interesting to hear what she had to say, and most notably about how they have the hammers locked up, and what did she say, Ace or Lowe's or
Target.
in Target of all places.
Yeah.
When we were in Salt Lake City, there was some locks on some of that kind of stuff there too, and I thought of Veronica. I was like, oh yeah.
So what do they have stuff in like cases that
Yeah.
are covered with?
Yeah, like the
plexiglass?
tools were covered. Yeah, or you had to go get somebody the spray paint. Yeah, and I had instantly thought of Veronica. Like, good thing we're not buying any of that stuff.
Yeah.
No, I know it was. It was at Walmart. I mean,
Ah.
we didn't go to Target, but I mean Walmart, Target. Come
Yeah.
on, it's kind of the same, two and the same. But yeah,
And,
very interesting.
I just want to say that if any of our podcast listeners are interested in joining us to discuss their work life, or if you know someone who might be interested in sharing their experiences, please let us know. You can contact us directly through our Mr. Robbins Podcast Facebook page. We also have email at mr.robin@mrrobinshood.com or mikey@mrrobinshood.com. And now we even have a way for you to contact us via cell that we've named Podophone.
The Podophone.
The Podophone. So you can call or text anytime. That number is 580
827-5309. I'm sorry, I couldn't help myself.
Okay, I'm going to try that again. 580-827-0472. We'd love to hear your feedback, comments, complaints, threats, whatever you want to toss our way, but don't be a dick.
And if you do, be a nice dick.
So, as always, when we close, we bid you to stay hungry, stay foolish. Come on, get your shit together.
That was such a good one. I tickled myself. Hold on, let me compose myself and so we can start so always again. Marianne got a kick out of it. Okay, I'm ready.
Okay. So, as always, when we close, we bid you to stay hungry,
Stay foolish, but most importantly, stay weird.
Goodbye,
See ya.
everybody.